MiniMax dropped a text-to-video model on Saturday. Someone had it running on a MacBook by Monday. No API key, no cloud call. The name is MiniMax H3, and if you pay a vendor per generated video clip, your invoice just became optional. Here is the click contract. MiniMax H3 is an omni-modal generator. Text in, image in, audio in, and it produces 15-second video clips with the audio baked in. 15 seconds is a social ad, a product loop, a testimonial cutaway. The exact length your marketing team pays Runway or Sora or Veo or Kling 20 cents to $2 a shot to produce. As of this week, the job runs on a Mac. Before the outro, I will tell you who just got undercut, what you actually need to buy to run this, what still forces you back to the cloud, and the window that closes the moment your competitor's agency figures out how to bill them for it. Section 1. The 45-minute miracle. MiniMax released H3 on August 2nd. 2 days later, a group called PipeNetwork had it ported to MLX, which is Apple's own machine learning framework, the one that runs natively on the chips inside every Mac sold since 2020. Simon Willison, who reviews these releases for a living, downloaded it, ran it end-to-end on an M5 Max MacBook Pro, and produced a working 15-second clip with audio. Download size 115 gigabytes, generation time just under 45 minutes, API bill 0. His first working prompt was a rainbow-colored skunk. Silly? Yes. Also the proof shot, a skunk with correct fur, believable lighting, and audio that syncs with what is on screen. Not a demo reel, not a hand-picked showcase, not a marketing render from the vendor's own team. A guy in his kitchen, on a laptop, running Chinese open weights and getting a shippable clip out the other side. Stop and register what just happened. A model a Chinese lab pushed on Saturday is running on a laptop by Monday. No key, no queue, no per second billing, and no upload of your prompts or your assets to anyone else's servers. The gap from release to your machine used to be measured in quarters. Now it is hours. Open Hugging Face right now and search MiniMax H3. You will see the model card, the community license, the 115 gigabytes of weight files, and the PipeNetwork MLX 8-bit port sitting right under it. The receipts sit on that page, not on my slides. Section 2. The invoice math. Here is what your vendor charges you per 15-second clip, roughly. Runway Gen 4, 95 cents. Kling 2.x, 30 cents. Google Veo 3, $1.50. OpenAI Sora, $2. Small numbers on one shot, not small on volume. Picture a direct-to-consumer brand testing paid social. Their creative team ships 50 ad variants a day, different hooks, different actors, different music, different first frames to see what stops the scroll. 50 variants a day at $1 a shot is $50 a day, $1,500 a month, $18,000 a year on generation alone. Before the freelancer's hours, before the agency's markup, before the platform fees your ad account eats. The same 15-second clip on a MacBook running H3 on MLX at 150 watts of draw for 45 minutes at 15 cents a kilowatt hour costs you 1 7/10 cents, not per minute, per clip. Your electricity bill for 100 clips a day is $1.70. Your Kling bill was $30, your Sora bill was $200. The margin on your agency retainer just moved. If you are passing through generation as a variable cost with a markup, you now have the option to bill flat rate for unlimited iterations, take your cost of goods sold to essentially zero, and keep 90% gross margin on that line. Or your competitor moves first, undercuts you by half on the retainer, and still makes more money than you did. Pick which one you are. Section 3. The hardware you actually need. The catch is the 115 gigabytes. A $2,000 MacBook Air is not going to hold it. What you actually need is a Mac with enough unified memory to fit the weights and the working state. In practice, an M5 Max MacBook Pro configured up, or a Mac Studio with the Ultra chip, somewhere between $4,500 and $7,000 depending on how much memory you spec. Do the payback. If your team currently spends $500 a month with Runway and Sora combined, a $5,000 Mac Studio pays itself back in 10 months and then generates video for the price of the office lights for the next 5 years. If your team spends $2,000 a month, the payback is 2.5 months. If your team spends under $100 a month, do not buy the Mac. The math does not work, and you do not have the volume problem this solves. The Mac Studio wins on thermal. It sits on a shelf, runs cool, chews through your overnight queue without throttling, and the same box handles rendering during the day. A MacBook Pro will run the same weights, but the fans will scream, and you will hate having it on your desk. Buy the Studio, put it in a cupboard. Plug in an Ethernet cable, forget it exists. The thing I am not going to lie to you about, turnaround is 45 minutes a clip on the fastest silicon Apple sells right now. It is a batch tool, not a live iteration tool. You queue up 30 prompts before you leave the office, you come back the next morning to 30 finished clips. Not a workflow where a creative director sits over your shoulder saying try it with a red car instead. Cloud still wins on wall clock for that room, even if it loses on unit cost. Section 4. What still forces you back to the cloud? I asked Claude to name what H3 running local does not replace, and the answer was straight. VO3 still owns 4K native output and physics consistency across a continuous shot. If you are producing a hero video for a car launch or a long walkthrough where the camera never cuts, keep paying Google. If you need hundreds of clips per hour rather than per day, Cloud still wins because you can spin up parallel workers and one Mac cannot parallelize itself. And if what you actually need is a coding model or a long context reasoning agent, this release does not touch any of that. Your Claude and GPT bills for internal tools and support agents are still your Claude and GPT bills. If your workload is 15-second social clips, product ad variants, testimonial B-roll, or short marketing loops with audio, and you currently pay per shot for them, the case for local is now stronger than the case for cloud on cost, on privacy, and on control of the content policy that decides what the model will and will not produce for you. One more angle nobody is talking about: regulated clients. Law firms, health brands, financial services, every one of them has a compliance officer who cannot approve uploading client footage or brand assets to a third-party AI vendor. Local waits on a Mac in your office, generating clips that never touch anyone else's server, is the first workflow that clears those calls without a 6-month vendor risk review. Payoff: the window before your agency notices. Here is the piece nobody is saying out loud. There are two kinds of businesses reading about H3 this week. The first kind runs the math I just walked you through, buys the Mac Studio, installs the weights, and starts producing marketing video in-house next week. The second kind waits for their agency to email them a thoughtful memo about how AI video is evolving and how the agency is investing in tooling to bring some of these efficiencies to their clients over the coming quarters. Read the sentence again. Every agency retainer that quietly buries generation cost in the line item has an obvious incentive to not tell you the cost changed. The window between released and your competitor's agency starts eating your margin on the same retainer is measured in weeks, not quarters, weeks. If you sell video creative, you have about a month to decide whether you want to be the agency that dropped its per clip line item and won the next pitch on price, or the agency that got dropped from 3 clients who found somebody cheaper. If you buy video creative, you have about a month to walk into your next vendor meeting, knowing the real cost of a 15-second clip is $1.50 and adjusting your retainer accordingly. Every week, another one of these models walks out of the cloud, and every week I put the buy list, the install steps, the exact prompts, and which vendor invoice it kills inside the Church of SEO Jesus. It is my free school community. The prompts, the checklists, the hardware spec sheets, the payback calculators for exactly this decision all live inside. Free to join, link in the description, and pinned in the top comment. Join before your competitor does, and start cancelling invoices this month. Next week I am pulling apart the model that is quietly eating the search agency world, and if you thought the video vendors were exposed, wait until you see what happened to keyword research.